Set up the live stream. Okay, 2 minutes. Okay. Go on my timeline and then I'm going to share it into the group. Okay, we are going live. All right, it is preparing the live stream. I wish it was quicker. It always kind of delays a few seconds. Okay.
Then you never know if you're
So,
talking.
okay, so I'm just going to make sure we share this everywhere before we get started. We have an exciting conversation, and I don't want anyone to miss anything important. So, share in the group. Actually, I'm going to share it in both groups, and I'm going to share it in the other group. Okay. Now, we have a special guest for Wellness Wednesday. I know it's been a little while since we have actually done an interview, and I had the pleasure of meeting Lori yesterday. And Lori, please tell me how to pronounce your last name.
There's a reason why I go by Lori K. It's Krajewski.
Okay. I'm not even going to try or attempt to pronounce that. So we're going to call her Lori K. So, you know, everybody knows my story about my wellness journey, about dealing with my back injury and everything that I've had to overcome over the past couple years. And, I had the pleasure of meeting Lori yesterday, and I already have goosebumps. So we know this is going to be an incredible conversation. And, I wanted to first of all commend you for all of the work that you do, the healing journey that you've been on for yourself as well. But not only that, but reaching out to me to have that open conversation yesterday and getting to know you, and also learning more about the protocols and the products that you utilize as well to help people detox and heal. Um, and for me, it's been a very stressful journey. I know there's a lot of other people that are looking for answers for their health and they don't know where to go or where to turn to. So I wanted to say thank you so much for being our guest speaker today, and having this conversation. So let's start off by introducing yourself and tell the community a little bit more about you.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. The pleasure is mine as well. So where to even begin? My name is Lori Krajewski. I'm a naturopathic practitioner, and I also help entrepreneurs get started, build strong teams, and it isn't just about health; it's also about wealth and
Right.
happiness and joy and all of the things. I live in Wisconsin. I'm married. We have an adult son. We have a fur baby named Zoe who is right next to me. Forgive me
Uh,
if she barks. And yeah, I can really relate to it being frustrating and scary and lonely and confusing. And it's one of the reasons why I do what I do, because I was there. It was a very confusing journey to try to figure out how to help your body heal when the experts don't have the right answers for your situation.
right. Yeah, I know. I've been dealing with this issue, well, ever since I got had the jab, but I started to get worse and worse and worse over time to the point where I was physically exhausted. I was literally almost giving up on life, and you know, I was looking for answers and searching for answers on how to make myself feel better. And it's you get so many different things thrown at you every day and you don't really know which ones are right, which ones are good quality products, and which ones are actually going to be something that your body needs at that moment. And I think that's the biggest thing, is trying to figure out where you're lacking in certain deficiencies, or maybe you're not drinking the right water, or the diet that you're having. Like, there's so many things that all come into play. It's not just one thing, it's multiple things that you have to actually do to achieve the good quality of life, right? So let's talk a little bit more about the journey that you're on, and how you work with clients, and we can talk about products and different things like that as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to launch. Um, I'm really going to age myself here and say when this all started for me, the internet was literally just born.
Yeah.
So that was a time when there wasn't really any information. And, that was 1996. So you can imagine since that time, the evolution of information that's available, not just on the internet, but the evolution of what's available for nutraceuticals and supplements. And everybody has the best.
Right.
Literally,
Yeah.
everybody has the miracle cure. Everybody has the best. It's always the best thing that has ever hit the market.
Right.
So, how to choose, we can dive into that a little bit more. But
Hmm.
if I can rewind just a little bit, and this
Yeah.
might throw you off at first, but I think it'll build a strong foundation for why I have come to this point today.
Sure.
Um, what I have learned, because I really had to rewind and rewind and rewind and rewind. And what I've learned is with the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, we became exposed to more heavy metals and environmental toxins than our bodies were ever designed to naturally mitigate on their own.
Hmm.
And what's unfortunate about that is that that toxicity gets trapped in our cells and it gets passed forward with every generation through the mothers. To no fault of our own, it's just what happens biologically.
Hmm.
And what a lot of people are just starting to understand is it's not just the moms. The dad has a whole lot more contribution to fertility, to maintain, to getting pregnant and to maintaining a pregnancy than people have understood in the past.
Hmm.
And they have a whole lot more to do with the developing fetus than we think. We always blame the moms because the mom's the one that's carrying the baby, right?
Yeah.
But it isn't just the moms. A lot of it is the sperm.
Wow.
So
I
we
never
have to,
really would have thought of that, to be
yeah.
honest, right? Like, we
And
always,
and if you go just a tiny bit further, if you take into account everything the dad has been through, everything the dad has eaten, everything he's been exposed to, it's not just the moms. What
wow.
he brings to fertilize that egg is equally as important as the health of the egg.
Hmm.
It's a much bigger picture than people have realized. Scientists are now starting to share this information, and there's actually a couple of really smart health providers on Instagram that are finally starting to share this information,
Hmm.
that we don't just blame the mom anymore. It's such a complex picture to actually create a viable fetus that doesn't have genetic mutations, that doesn't have some kind of defects. It
Right.
truly is miracle of life.
Wow.
So the fact that any of us are even here in and of itself is a miracle.
Hmm.
And then when we're born, we immediately give baby shots. And again, that the ingredients in that very first shot have more heavy metals than we're ever supposed to have in an entire lifetime. And
Wow.
that's just one shot. So I would argue, and I do argue every day, that
Yeah.
we are all vax injured to some degree.
Right.
And it's an accumulation of all of those vaccines. It might have been with the most recent, COVID vaccines that it became obvious for people.
Hmm.
But if we look back at all of the illnesses and diseases that we have seen just since the Industrial Revolution, and since vaccines were introduced as regular medicine in the very late 60s,
Yeah.
all of those illnesses and diseases were brought on by toxicity within the cells
Right.
that cause nutritional deficiencies, that cause every other problem that we see.
Yeah, I have a friend that their baby ended up getting autism on the very first vaccine that they got.
That's a very controversial topic, and people will argue to
Yeah.
the end regarding that topic. It
Mm.
isn't just, one particular thing, but I do encourage people to look at what was dad exposed to. Not just, environmental toxicity, heavy metals, the foods that he might have eaten, but the trauma that he
Hmm.
might have experienced and carries in his cells, in his DNA, that he brought to the table to fertilize that egg. and what toxicity was passed forward to the mother through all of those generations that were in her egg.
Wow.
And what was that baby exposed to in utero? What kind of vaccines did mom have? I mean, it's a very big picture.
Right.
And I don't share this to overwhelm and to overcomplicate. I share this to actually try to help people feel better.
Right.
No, there's
Yeah.
a reason why you don't feel well. There's a lot of reasons why you don't feel well. But some of that we can't do a lot about. We
Right.
can't really do a lot about what we're exposed to. You know,
Right.
there's so many hormone mimetics in this world. There's so many endocrine disruptors. There's so many chemicals. There's so many heavy metals. We can't do a lot about what we're exposed to. We can eliminate that in our beauty products. We can eliminate that in our cleaning products. We
Hmm.
can eliminate that in our home.
Hmm.
But I would encourage people to consider starting to eliminate that inside of their cells.
I love it. I love this conversation because, when I discovered what actually was attacking my system, and I highly recommend for everybody to do a live blood analysis. When you put your blood under a microscope, it's going to tell you a lot about your health, okay?
And it's really
Um,
cool.
Yeah, no, it's I love science like this. I was like, Mom, look, I love this kind of stuff. But the biggest thing is when you look at the bigger picture, I mean, when you go for a live blood analysis, you're only literally putting one tiny drop on the microscope. If you zoom out and you actually look at it as a bigger picture, you're going to see some abnormal things in there that do not belong. And it can get to be quite scary. I seen a parasite floating, like swimming around in that one little tiny drop of blood. Could you
Yep.
imagine what is in the my entire body that I'm not seeing? And it's,
Yes.
when I first went to the live blood analysis, I've been to fertility clinics, hormone specialists. I've had, they pumped me full of a whole bunch of hormone, like three different kinds of hormones and the creams and I was not feeling better. I was actually feeling worse.
Yeah.
And, I made the decision for myself. I'm going to take a deeper dive on my health and like literally get to the root cause of the issue and then treat that and do some detoxes. But you know, I actually started to feel better when I got off the hormones, to be honest.
Hmm.
Like they all
Hmm.
every doctor's like, "Oh, you need to be on this HRT, you need this, you need this, you need this." And I'm like, "I'm not spending $500 on hormones every month. Like, how can somebody maintain and afford that when there's no government support for women's hormonal health? It's insane."
Right.
All
Right.
they just kept telling me is I'm going through menopause. I'm 39 years old and my period stopped when I got vaccinated. And they keep just telling me, "Oh no, you're just going through early menopause." And I'm like, that's insane. That is insane. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to believe you. I am going to be my own health advocate and I am going to get to the cause of the problem. And I
Yeah.
think, it's so important that you don't just take take the medical system lightly. Do your own research. Get more answers, ask more questions, get more tests done, but don't just give up on that one result. Like, I truly feel that I can recover and that
Yeah.
I still have an opportunity to have a child, and that was been my biggest dream in life, right?
Yeah.
um so let's talk a little bit more about what we can do about our health and how do we get rid of these heavy metals, and um, what are
Yeah.
our options? Because
Well, yeah.
I would like to know as well. I would like to feel better and also live by example. Everybody knows I love to test products and make sure. And I just recently did a live blood analysis test about a week ago. So I'd like to learn, how we can cleanse our body and detox, and then I would like to do another live blood test afterwards too.
Yeah, I think that would be really interesting. And people have done comparisons. I told you yesterday that you could take like one drop of this formula that I was talking about after you have your blood drawn. So you have your pen, your poke, take
Yep.
a look under the slide, take a couple of drops of this binder. A few minutes later, do another poke, and the comparison is night and day. It's quite fascinating.
I'm excited.
But you raised two really important topics that I'd like to touch on really quickly. One of the reasons why we might add this and 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 we feel worse is because we kind of got, if I can use the analogy of a garbage can,
Yep.
A garbage can will have plastics and maybe some junk food and maybe some heavy metals and maybe all different kinds of things that kind of go into our daily life. So this
Yeah.
garbage can is really full.
Yeah.
And then we keep adding to the top of it.
Right.
And we wonder why those things aren't clearing out the garbage.
Yeah. My blood
We,
was so
we,
thick, it was like stacked together like a caterpillar. It was horrible. And
and
that was after
even
I
people,
detoxed. I already
well,
detoxed
yeah.
once and it
I
was
mean,
heavier.
even people who are not vaccinated have that problem. It's a really high indication of inflammation.
Right.
So that when you see that coining or the rouleau, you see them all stacked, they're all clumped together. That is your body saying, alert, 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 we have a problem. And the problem is significant inflammation. And now you're at higher risk for heart attacks and strokes. You're at higher risk for all different types of inflammatory diseases. It's just an indication that your body needs support. And it's not so much the adding that we need to do first, it's the subtracting that we need to do first. We got to take out the garbage that is in the way of us bringing those nutrients into the cell so they can actually nourish our bodies.
Right.
So if you imagine a cell that is really inflamed and highly toxic, the cell membrane is going to get a whole lot less permeable because it's protecting itself. It's
Yes.
protecting against attack. And even water can't pass through that membrane very well because it's protecting itself.
Hmm.
So until we can get through that cell membrane and grabbed onto some of those heavy metals and those environmental toxins and all of the things that make us sick and pull those out of the cell and plop some minerals right in that cell where we just created an empty space ripe for nourishment, then we can start to get somewhere because now fluid is going to pass through and we're no longer dehydrated inside of our cell. It's actually called intracellular dehydration. So
That's
you can drink all
interesting.
the water you want, but it's not actually moving through the cell
I was
membrane.
just gonna say, like I've tried a million supplements and even drinking Kangen water, but I still feel like I'm dehydrated. I don't even think I was actually absorbing any of the nutrients and vitamins and supplements I was taking.
So we have receptor sites, right, for those vitamins and those nutrients that you're taking and the minerals that we need for all of life. We have receptor sites in our cells. Those receptor sites are all jammed up with heavy metals and environmental toxins. So those minerals that you're taking are, for the most part, they're passing right on by because there's nothing to grab them and use them.
Interesting.
So when we can get some of that toxicity out of the way, and then we do, replace the essential trace minerals that are the foundation for all of life, they're actually going to have a receptor for the body to receive them and use them, create energy, start to move fluids throughout the body, start to detox better. I mean, there's a lot of people that can't even sweat
I
because
don't sweat.
that's another indication that your detox pathways are not open and flowing freely. Again, environmental toxicities and nutritional deficiencies, they go hand in hand.
Mhm.
So you start pulling out some of the problems, and when you put those minerals back in, they're actually going to be able to work better. And this does take some time. If you want it to be really brutal, you can do that to your body. I will tell you that it comes with significant consequences, even the worst consequence. There are people who can go septic when they detox wrong.
Yeah.
So it can be very, very dangerous to willy-nilly detox.
Yes.
And one of the reasons why I like the formula that I shared with you yesterday is because it is so profoundly gentle that it doesn't cause, these Herx reactions or the detox flu that you hear so much about.
Yeah.
Detox shouldn't hurt. We actually shouldn't even really notice it any differently than we notice, perspiring when it's 90 degrees outside
Right.
or having to urinate because we drink a lot of water.
Right.
Detox really shouldn't be this thing that we feel so we know something's actually happening. It's our body's natural ability. All we're doing is supporting it.
Awesome.
And then the other issue that you brought up was hormones. A lot of times when we do HRT, those are synthetic hormones that we're adding to the body. Our body doesn't like synthetics. So it could have been your body's innate ability saying, no, thank you. But even when we do things like bioidentical hormones, it's usually estrogen and progesterone. If you can find a provider who will give you testosterone and even DHEA, that's four hormones that you're giving your body, but we have over 50.
Right.
What happens when we give the body only four? What happens to all of the other hormones? They go wonky.
And what
It
what
just,
if you're taking them, but your body is so bunged up that you can't even absorb the hormones?
that too. I mean, that's the other part of the conversation that goes
Yeah.
into the cells are so toxic they can't really receive.
Yeah.
But it's also, we have to look at the synergy of the body. The whole endocrine system works together in harmony. When we plop two, maybe three, maybe four hormones in that mix, we mess up that whole synergy. And I'm not here to say, don't take HRT, don't take BHRT. I'm here to say the things that your doctors aren't telling you.
Right.
When you do this, you are creating a neurofeedback loop in your body. Your body's going to say, oh, now we have enough progesterone. I'm not going to do that anymore. At some point, if your provider says you're too old for hormone replacement, what are you going to do when your body's not making it anymore? These are the things that your doctors don't talk to you about.
Right.
You got menopause? Oh, here, have some estrogen.
Yeah.
That's not the
That blew my
solution.
mind. I was like, what do you mean? How am I 39 years old and I'm going through menopause and like not even any significant warning or any perimenopause, or it was just like, bye, your period's done. Here's all your hot flashes. And I was like, this isn't, but something's not right. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like I think my mom didn't even go through menopause until she was like 55. Like
yeah,
it just something didn't seem right to me, and I knew that I needed to search for more answers. So I'm really happy to have this conversation because there's a lot of women that are, my age as well that are starting to go through these changes of life that maybe um want to feel better, or they're not feeling like themselves right now. So I'm really happy to have this conversation and also share this knowledge with all of the people watching as well. And
yeah.
men, this is for you too. It's not just for women. You
Well,
know,
it's not just for women because, we are, over 50% of the population. So there are women in your life. If they're not women in your family, there's women that you work with. There might be women that are running your countries and your companies and your cities, and they're going through things that medicine refuses to acknowledge or understand. And I mean, I was just on a menopause page this morning. Almost 190,000 women are on this Facebook page.
oh yes, I
And I
think I might
saw a
be in the
post
same one.
about a woman who just lost her job because her brain doesn't work anymore. Her brain fog is so bad, she can't work anymore. That was me in 2015.
Right.
And it is so grossly misunderstood. The comments on that post, I was just devastated.
Yeah.
Me
I
too, me
actually got
too, me
kicked out of
too, me
that
too.
group. I got kicked out of that group for
Did
sharing my
you?
back injury story.
Well,
I mean,
I got kicked out of probably 60 groups so far. So, you're in good company.
yeah. Well, that's why we have
But
our own group and our own
yeah,
education
right?
platform and our referral
Yeah.
network, so we can bring our free speech back to our own platform, and we can actually help people with their health.
Like, I am all in.
Right.
And, one of the things that I want to stress the most, especially to the women, but even the men, is there are natural solutions that help our bodies activate its own natural ability to make and metabolize the hormones that it should be making and metabolizing, even if you don't have ovaries anymore, even if you are in menopause, even if you are postmenopausal. So, there are natural ways to do this. We actually have a Zoom tonight. We're taking a big deep dive into this. So, anytime that we can activate the body's natural ability to do what it should be doing, I'm all for it.
Right.
Because really, the body has a miraculous ability to heal itself if we start taking out some of the problems, if we start taking the garbage out, if we start bringing in some really dense nutrition that it's been lacking, because again, those receptor sites are full,
Hmm.
and we start removing things like the hormone mimetics and the endocrine disruptors in our daily life. Perfume. I love perfume, but it is one of the worst endocrine disruptors on the planet.
Wow.
Perfume in candles, perfume in soap, perfume in laundry detergent. Perfume is not your friend. It
Wow.
smells great and it is destroying your endocrine system.
That's interesting. The things that we do on a daily basis, we really don't
We don't know.
understand how many things are bombarding our system. I mean, it's just insane. Even I seen one of my friends drinking out a plastic water bottle the other day. I'm
I
like,
know.
girl, you gotta
I
stop
know.
that. You know
I
what I mean?
know.
And it's just the little tiny things, making slow adjustments and starting to notice and starting to realize. I think that's the biggest thing is like once you're awake to knowing what you know, then you can make those slight adjustments. Like even the other day, I was at the river and I forgot my other sunscreen and I was like, "Oh, I really don't want
Yeah.
to put this on my skin." But that in order to protect myself, I didn't really have a choice at that time, but I ended up having to spray myself and my friend's like, "Why are you gagging?" And I'm like, "I don't want to put this toxic stuff on my skin." You know what I mean? And it was so funny. She's just like, "Oh, I didn't realize like that my your body's absorbing all of those chemicals." And I said, "Yeah, I mean, I can't even put this on my body without gagging."
Well, and that's another important point. People don't realize that skin is our biggest organ and it absolutely absorbs everything that we come in contact with. And there are natural ways to protect our skin. In fact, one of the scientists I work with has a spray. It's 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 an environmental spray that we can put on our skin to protect ourselves. I mean,
Awesome.
there's so many things that we can do, but it really all comes back down to what's going on in the cell. And how clean are your cells? How nourished are your cells? So that's number one. And then we can do things like this transdermal cream that helps activate all of our hormones that is absorbed through the skin because it will go directly into your bloodstream. So think about that. When you're putting perfume on your wrist, it's going directly in your in your blood. When you put lotion on your skin, it's going directly into your bloodstream. All of these sunscreens, and we're starting to see alternatives for sunscreens that'll say without they will have sunscreens that are without, but there's so many ways that we can make our own. You
Right.
can make your own sunscreen with some really beautiful oils and a little bit of zinc.
Yep.
It's not hard. It's just becoming aware. And there's actually several apps that you can download on your iPhone or your Android phone. Go on your stores and look for apps like Detox Me or I'm totally blanking out, but there's probably 15 or 20 apps that you can choose from that will help you understand where the hidden toxins are in your life, in your daily life.
I'm writing that down.
Um, yeah, Detox Me is the one that I downloaded many years ago. And although I did know a lot of them on that list, one of them surprised me. I didn't realize dryer lint is toxic. You shouldn't even be touching that with your fingers.
Wow.
Who knew? I mean, the apps are great. And there's websites that some people trust and some people don't. Environmental Working Group, it's ewg.org. You can plug in any ingredient known to man, and you can get information on the level of toxicity from 1 to 10, I think. I haven't used that webpage in many
Actually,
years,
my
but
good friend Jeff, he lives here in Vancouver as well. He's actually created a website and app where we can actually look up products and see if they're, toxic free and things like that too. So we'll be
yes.
working together very, very soon. So shout out to Jeff.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the protocols. So
Yes.
obviously the first step is to do a live blood analysis, right? Is that step one?
Sure, but that's not widely available to a lot of people.
Okay,
So if that is something that you can access conveniently and easily in your area, absolutely. Go ahead and have an analysis done. It is very telling. But what I'm going to tell you is if you don't feel good, you have inflammation.
right.
So, don't bend over backwards trying to find a live blood specialist. You're already inflamed. So,
Yeah, I
if
think
you can't
everybody on the
find
planet is inflamed, to be
I'm
honest.
I'm telling you, if you don't feel well, if you have any symptoms whatsoever, you have inflammation. So, what's behind that inflammation? Toxicity and nutritional deficiencies. So, step one, if you can't find a live blood analyst, would be that little binder that I told you about, this little liquid dropper bottle. It's just a liquid formula. You take a couple of drops. It goes through that cell membrane, binds to the problems, carries them all the way out of the body. Once they're bound together, they stay bound together until you sweat, urinate, or defecate. And it also drops in essential trace minerals right inside of that cell.
Awesome. So
And
I
when
have
we
a
do
question
that,
about that
yeah.
because I know a lot of people are doing other kinds of detoxes and they always
Mhm.
say that you have to have a binder with it. So what does exactly that mean for the people that don't know?
So when we have heavy metals, the body is either going to try to remove them so there's different degrees of heavy, okay? Some heavy metals are really, really heavy, like mercury and aluminum and strontium and cesium and a couple of others. They're very, 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 very heavy. Some heavy metals are not so heavy that the body can naturally kick some of them out. But when the body can't pick them up and carry them out, they get stored and
Right.
they get stored in fat. And I'm just going to throw out there that our brain is very fatty. Okay. I'm just going to let that land. So when we're talking about a lot of toxicity, if the body doesn't have any more fat to store it in, the body will make more fat cells and have a place to store that toxicity. When
Okay.
we see things like cysts and tumors, they're not always parasites. Some of them are just the body's way of isolating toxicity. We should not be poking cysts and poking tumors with needles. Our body's natural way of protecting itself is to create cysts and tumors. So keep that in mind too. A lot of people will say they're all parasites. It's simply not true. Sure, there are a lot of cysts that are full of parasites, but a lot of them are simply heavy metals and environmental chemicals. Okay, so when we start looking at what is a heavy metal detox, the only way to help your body do that is with a binder. I don't know any binders other than this particular one that can actually pass through the cell membrane and get inside of the cell to bind to it. And if you see it under a microscope, it's literally like magnets coming together.
I'm
It's so
totally
cool.
gonna do this at my clinic.
It's so cool. I'll share the video with you because you might want to share a little snippet of that because one of the women in this organization is a analyst. Why can't I say that today? She's in the UK and she played with this formula under the microscope and she added an antibiotic to it. By the way, a lot of pharmaceuticals use heavy metals as a delivery system to get through that cell wall. Just throwing that out there. So
Yeah.
she had an old antibiotic, crushed that up a little bit, put it on the slide with this formula, and she actually watched it magnetize to the heavy metals in that antibiotic. It was so
Wow.
cool.
That is
And
so cool.
yeah, this formula also uses magnetization and polarization to enhance what's called a cation exchange. So negatively and positively polarized are automatically going to magnetize to each other. And that's what this formula does. It acts as a magnet to pull those heavy metals and other positively polarized ions together. And once they're bound, they stay bound all the way out of the body. So we want to make sure that we're urinating plenty, our bowels are moving plenty to get that junk out. It's one thing to pull it out of the cells, but we want to get it all the way out of the body. And then we can really start to get somewhere. Does that answer your question?
Does. It does. And thank you for anybody that hasn't learned about detox yet. This is great information, and we're going to actually share a couple products with you as well. What you
And
can
there's
do now.
And there's so many detox binders on the market. Again, we go back to that. There's so much information available. How do I choose one?
Right,
You want to choose one that isn't just going to work through the digestive system because your digestive system should be moving that stuff out.
right,
You have to choose something that claims to be bioavailable, and I only know of one. I know a lot of people think that fulvic and humic is bioavailable, but I personally cannot find solid evidence that that is true. It may very well be true. But the other caveat with fulvic and humic is that it comes from soil, which can be loaded with heavy metals.
right,
So you want to make sure that if you do choose fulvic or humic or a mix of both, that they are thoroughly tested, that the certificate of analysis shows that they're not loaded with heavy metals because some of them are.
right.
So we just want to be really careful with what we're calling a detox binder. And the last thing that I want to say about that is one of the most popular ones is activated charcoal. This is not something that should be used on a daily basis. It is not discriminate. It will bind to everything in its wake, including beneficial bacteria in your microbiome, including your vitamin B. It will bind to everything. That's what makes it so great in emergency rooms in cases of overdoses or food poisonings, because it will bind to literally everything. So we want to use that in cases of emergency, not every day. And I will never understand why this is in so many products for that very reason. It will destroy your microbiome if you use it consistently day after day, year after year.
Wow. Wow. See, that's the thing is like you really need to educate yourself because you could actually harm yourself if you're not doing things correctly. And that's why I'm so grateful to meet you, Lori, because I've gone through a couple rounds of detox and I was able to clear a lot of things out of my system. But I noticed on my last live blood analysis, everything's bunging up again.
Yeah,
So it's something that it worked for the time being, but it's not something that I can take every single day. The cost is quite expensive as well. And I want to have something that I can have when needed to keep the heavy metals and the toxicity out of my system. Because, the food we eat,
yes,
I'm sitting here drinking coffee. Like, you know what I mean? There's certain things that we put into our system that we have to also get out and we have to cleanse our blood, like our cells and, make sure that we're doing things correctly. So I'm grateful to have this conversation because I've been looking for something else. Um, and that's the reason why I did the live blood test last week is because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna order another product and I want to try it and then I want to lead by example and I want to show the before and afters and that's just what I do. And it's also for education for the group and for our members to see that, you know, what we're bringing to the community actually works and we're working with people that we can stand behind because of the science, because of the testimonials, because of their mission to help us heal. There's certain products that I don't agree with, and there's certain products that people love, but it's about education. We have tons of products in the company, but it's about education and allowing you as an individual to make the best decision for your own health. That's what this is all about.
absolutely.
We're a big
Absolutely.
directory. We can connect you with Lori, people like Lori. You can do a private one-on-one call with her. You know what I mean? And we're just bringing everybody, the community together, and then you can make the best decision for your life, your family's, your health, everybody's health. It's just education, and then you can choose. And that's what I love about it.
Absolutely. To make an informed decision, right?
Right,
And to do this consistently for your body. That's the one thing that I want to stress is, the air is toxic, the water is toxic, the soil is toxic. If people knew how toxic our environment is, they'd probably never get out of bed. But
oh
here's the
girl.
great thing. We
Yeah,
can start to pull it back out of our bodies, and this is something that we should do every single day in a really gentle way because we're never going to stop being exposed to it.
right,
So why would we stop trying to help our bodies get rid of it?
right. Yeah,
You
I
know?
mean, it's crazy the amount of stuff they're spraying in the sky over here. Like in British Columbia, I think we're getting hit the worst. Um, and yeah, I see almost every single day. I see just those lines
It's
all over the
criminal.
whole sky.
It's
So
absolutely criminal.
yeah.
And the scientist who made this stuff, she's actually working on mitigating the water and the soil as well. She's brilliant. She's a savant.
I cannot wait to meet her.
Right?
Right?
She's just got one of those brains that doesn't really come along but once every couple of hundred years. And she remembers everything she reads. So it's like her head is just an encyclopedia that she can
Right.
just go get the information and she's absolutely brilliant. She worked on these formulas for several years before she finally found this mineral gapping issue. That's one of the reasons why people feel that herx or that detox flu is when you pull toxicity out of the body without replacing the minerals right at the very same time, the body will like retox. It sees an empty space and it'll just use that as storage space again. So you are removing some, but it just kind of starts to circulate and you feel a little funky in the process.
Yeah.
When you can fill that empty space with something intentional that's going to feed the body rather than that space being filled in for you by literally who knows what, you're really going to start to feel the effects much quicker and much more effectively because you're not recirculating toxicity throughout your whole body.
Oh,
I know it's kind of fascinating. I wish I had even half the brain that she had to even try to understand the work that she's done.
right.
All I know is that it works. She's got patents on her work. She submitted patents for an autism protocol. She submitted patents for several other diseases that are considered incurable. We've got all kinds of testimonials for literally everything under the sun because we're getting to the root cause of why people don't feel well in the first place. And, eradicating the causes will mitigate the symptoms.
I'm so excited.
I
I
am
am so
too.
excited. I love having these conversations and I'm gonna as soon as we get off this call, I'm gonna actually go and order the product. But let's talk about the product and then I'll make sure to put the link if anybody wants to book a private call with Lori. Can let's talk a little bit about that first and then we'll talk about how people can get the product if that's what they would like to do. Let's talk about how they can connect with you.
Sure. So I'm available on Facebook. Um, if you can read my name at the bottom of the screen, my Facebook is lori.krajewski.3. That's how it looks. You can send me a message. My bio has my campsite link, which has my email link. You can email me. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. I mean, I don't just reach out. We'll schedule a time to talk, and the first conversation is always free because I know what it's like to feel frustrated, lonely, confused, and not really sure where to turn. You're completely overwhelmed and you're out of time, patience, and money.
Yeah.
So it's a free conversation to get you going. There's probably more in that free conversation that your doctor's ever going to tell you in your lifetime. And I'm not trying to brag. I just have been down the road so many times. I know what doctors are saying and what they're not, and I try to fill in the gaps. So, and I'm not saying that I know everything about everything. Don't get me wrong. I am not the expert in all things.
Yeah.
I am not even the expert in all nutraceuticals and all nutrition. I just have learned a lot in the last 30 years, and I've helped a lot of people reverse a lot of things that are irreversible.
Awesome. Awesome. So I will also tag Lori in this. This video will be also uploaded to our YouTube channel, so you can go back and rewatch this. Send it to a friend or family member if you know that they're not well. And we can schedule a call. Lori is now part of our community. We're happy to have her. And let's talk about this product, because I'm going to go and order it as soon as we get off this Zoom because I'm super excited about it. And let's talk about a little bit about the product and how people can order it, and then we'll wrap it up.
All right. So, many years ago, this scientist that created all of these formulas, she knew what was coming. She was actually invited to work at a lab that was making the problems.
Mm,
So, although she did try to warn people, as you can imagine, it was Chicken Little, the sky is falling, you're being paranoid, all of the things. So, she really made a bold decision and walked away from her career. She used to work for Big Pharma, and she was really working hard on trying to protect us from all kinds of viruses that were going on in the environment. She was making some really beautiful medications, and all of her work either got shoved on a shelf in a dark room in the back closet, or sometimes it got borrowed without permission. So she knew that it was time for her to make a pivot. She knows that she answers to the Lord and the Lord only, and she really did feel that it was a calling of hers. It was on her heart to make a shift and really start to serve humanity in a way that was effective, that wasn't going to be taken for granted, that wasn't going to be thrown on a shelf. And she dove into working in a lab. It took her a couple of years to create the formulas that they ended up launching coincidentally, very interestingly, in February of 2020. Almost like she knew exactly what was coming and created solutions for it.
awesome.
So
I love
one
that.
little piece of that solution is this little detox binder. Like I said, it's a liquid, but there is a detox material in there. It is called clinoptilolite. There is a lot of controversy about zeolites and clinoptilolite right now. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who think they understand what they're talking about, and they're spreading a lot of misinformation. This has been used for millennia to clean the water, to clean our bodies, and it is safe, natural, and harmless. So I guess it depends on who you want to believe, the people who don't really understand, or a bioscience engineer who has studied this for many years.
I'm on her side.
I mean, I'm just saying, if it was good enough for the Greeks a million years ago, I think it's good enough for us.
Right. Exactly.
It's all about who's using the product, if it is a clean product, because not all things from nature are clean. You do have to clean it. And it is cleaned in a way that is not boiled in acid, like a lot of other zeolite products on the market. It is cleaned with cold water extraction, with fracking to break fragments open so natural impurities will fall off. And it's put through a process that is proprietary because, again, she's had work stolen from her. And it is enveloped or encased in a very small amount of vitamin C, which makes it bioavailable, meaning it penetrates the cell membrane, not heavy metals. All you got to do is use a little vitamin C to make it bioavailable, and some trace minerals.
Awesome.
It's a
I love
very, very
trace
simple
minerals.
formula. Yeah,
I
it's a
actually, we
very
have a
simple formula that isn't simple at all in what it does.
We have a another founding member in our company. I just want to share this quick story is her husband actually discovered a volcano in British Columbia here in the Rocky Mountains. And they actually flew into there and took a bunch of samples. And this volcano has over 90 trace minerals in it. And I
Nice.
think that's so cool. I actually started taking some of it as well, but then I was like, wait a minute, if I'm not well, I'm not going to absorb the trace minerals anyways. So that's why I'm excited to utilize this product first. Then I'll maybe go back to that later, but I'm sure I'll be feeling much better afterwards for sure.
Yeah, and you could take them at the same time.
Yeah.
Small amounts of trace minerals. You can take them at the same time because this is going to help deliver them to the cell.
Okay. Very
Yeah,
cool. Very
yeah.
cool.
And there's several
Awesome.
other products on that line that can help detox, but that's the primary one. We can take a deeper dive in a conversation if people want to do that later. But
Absolutely. We can do regular talks like this on Wellness Wednesday, and we can also introduce other products. Really would like to learn more about the other cream that you had mentioned as well. So maybe we can do a talk on that particular product on another Wednesday. That would be amazing.
yeah, that's
Awesome.
fantastic. And that one combined with this is such a great combination because the people that know they have hormonal imbalances will benefit from that cream. I mean, there are people that have never heard of this formula that are benefiting from the cream, but the women that I have on both. So what this is going to help do is it help cleans up the cells, which means it's helping you clean up your organs. Our liver metabolizes a lot of hormones and a lot of other things. If our liver metabolism isn't fantastic, we're going to see things like estrogen dominance and bad estrogen accumulating in the body. So the cream is going to help a lot, but the two together are such a great combination.
Yeah, I'm gonna, I'm gonna actually do a new scan and check out my hormones and everything before I start these products too, so that we can compare. I love this stuff.
Absolutely.
This is like that, that's the whole reason why we've sourced certain tools that can help. We also have a live blood test that you can do at home and certain things too that gives you a bunch of 16 biomarkers and things like that. And I love adding these kind of things to our menu, I guess you could say, because everybody's going to need something different and it depends on where they're at with their health. So if we have the different testings and different things that we can utilize tools, then we can make the correct informed decision on which products are best for us. And I'm so grateful to meet you, Lori. Thank you so much for all of your time today. I hope everybody that's watching this got value. Again, this is going to be public. You can share it, you can tag your friends. I will make sure that the live video is also public so you can also share it. But if you see something for yourself here, whether you want to get the products that we discussed earlier, or if you'd like to have a private conversation with Lori, please feel free to reach out to her. Let her know that you've seen our video, that you're part of the referral network, and she'll be happy to have a conversation and get to the root cause of what's going on with you and your health, and then we can find a solution.
Thank you so much. I'm really grateful.
Awesome. Okay, and I'll tag all of her information in here as well so everybody can get in contact with her as well. So thank you so much for being our special guest speaker on Wellness Wednesday, and I look forward to doing more conversations like this with you as well.
As do I. Thank you.
Awesome. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.